For the past few months, I've been studying how TikTok affects our brains, and what you find in this video may surprise you. What started as an easy form of entertainment during the pandemic is now becoming a drug for the majority, and it is changing how our brains work. So if you find watching a movie or reading a book boring now, or you're finding it difficult to pay attention in class, that is all because of this. Short form video is affecting you and your kids in unimaginable ways, and we're merely scratching the surface with this video. So join me as I break down and share with you what I have discovered about the effects of short form videos on our brains and some possible ways to tackle it, and hopefully you can protect yourself and your kids from its effects. Let us begin with what goes on in your brain when you just start watching these videos. The main culprit is this neurochemical that you have probably heard of, dopamine. This neurochemical enhances what you're feeling in the moment. Suppose you like cars, you're scrolling through reels and suddenly a video of your favorite car appears. Naturally, you'll feel happy to see it, but what dopamine does is it enhances this feeling of happiness. So you remember what just happened and what you did to get there. Two things I'd like you to take note, although they're not central to what we're talking about. First is that dopamine isn't the standalone reason why all this happens. There are other neurochemicals that play here, but dopamine just gets a bad rep. Second is that dopamine isn't the chemical that causes pleasure, it just enhances the feeling of it. Not sure if that made sense, but I had to mention it. Coming back, now the stage is set. You just start using TikTok or Reels and you found something you like, and your brain knows that you might find something interesting if you just keep scrolling. It's not guaranteed, but you just want to try. In psychological terms, this phenomenon is called random reinforcement. It works a lot like a slot machine. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you just want to keep trying because the pleasure you get from winning just feels so good. And that pretty much sums it up. That is why you tell yourself, I'm only going to spend 5 minutes on TikTok, and you realize an hour passed by. Now that we have understood what's going on behind the wheels, let's look at how this affects you. For that, we'll be looking at this study done at the Ludwig Maximilian University of Munich. One of the main terms that you need to know before we dive into this study is the idea of prospective memory, or PM. It's the fundamental function of our brains to remember to execute a planned action in the future. For example, you're in a meeting and a friend suddenly calls you. You can't attend to that call right now, but your prospective memory will help you take a mental note and will remind you to call or text that friend back once you have time. Coming back to the experiment, the aim was to figure out how different social media disruptions affect PM. So 60 participants were given a task and there was a 10-minute break between the tasks. These participants ranged from the age of 19 to 34. During the break, the participants were told to do one of 4 things. They could either use Twitter, which is now called X, but for the sake of this experiment, we'll stick to Twitter. Watch a long-form YouTube video, use TikTok, or they could just simply rest for 10 minutes. And here are the results of the experiment. There are 2 types of tasks that the participants were given: lexical decision tasks and prospective memory tasks. A lexical decision task is a procedure that involves measuring how quickly people classify stimuli as words or non-words. What they realized was that the LD tasks weren't really affected by the type of social media platforms the participants used during their 10-minute break. On the other hand, for the PM tasks, participants that used TikTok made far more mistakes during their task compared to other social media platforms. What does this mean? Let's go a bit deeper. If you realize, these 3 social media platforms vary vastly from one another in terms of format. Twitter uses mainly text with the inclusion of some images, YouTube uses a long-form video about a single topic, and TikTok shows a variety of short-form videos on a variety of subjects. So does differing social media modalities impact how our brain performs? It appears so. What the researchers realized was that TikTok significantly degraded PM performance compared to other social media platforms, and that's because of the rapid changes in context that you see on TikTok. Video 1 could be about cars, video 2 could be about a cake that looks like someone's shoe, video 3 could be a Zach King magic trick, video 4 could be Kabi roasting someone, and so on. Rapid changes in context degrade PM performance. In comparison, YouTube or Twitter had no observable effect on the participants' PM. So how is it really affecting us? With the rapid changes in context, the recovery time that it takes for us to get back to the task at hand significantly increases when we use TikTok. Lexical decision-making tasks, on the other hand, aren't really affected. Apart from significantly degrading users' PM, there are also serious issues caused in the short term by these short-form videos. One of the most obvious effects are shortening attention spans. What I've realized is that once you get used to this dopamine hit that you get from short-form videos, watching movies or long-form YouTube videos becomes harder. Have you noticed this about yourself? You're sitting at home watching Netflix, but half an hour or 1 hour into the movie, you're itching to move on to something else or a different activity altogether. And this isn't just limited to consuming media. Anything like reading a book or attending a lesson or anything that requires full attention for a prolonged period seems difficult. I'll link an article by the Oxford Blue if you're interested to know more. By nature, TikTok can instantaneously relieve boredom, but this comes at a price. This means that within the time you're away from your phone, your ability to tolerate boredom decreases and you naturally gravitate towards using TikTok again. That is how you build an addiction. Your mind is getting enslaved to TikTok and you need to get conscious of these thoughts and tackle them. I personally use Instagram Reels far more than TikTok, so I set myself a 10-minute limit for whenever I open the app. This can be done by going into your activity, scrolling down to time spent and setting time limits. Instagram also has a family center under settings, supervision, where parents can monitor their teens' activity until they turn 18. Parents can pair their TikTok account to their teens and control how much time their child spends on TikTok, along with a bunch of other features. After all, teens are a lot more prone to getting addicted compared to adults. If you want to learn how to set up parental controls in TikTok, I'll leave a guide in the description box below. TikTok automatically limits screen time for children below 18 to 60 minutes a day. As a user, you could also monitor the amount of time you're spending on TikTok and gain more awareness about how you're using your time and hopefully find more meaningful ways to use it. After all, it all comes down to discipline. That's it for today's video, guys. Hope you guys found this video insightful. Once again, the link to everything that I talked about in this video will be in the description box below. At this point, there isn't a lot of scientific research that's available on this topic since this medium of entertainment is relatively new. So maybe somewhere down the line, I might make a part 2 of this video where we dive deeper into this topic. Until then, thank you for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.